Is this the pound for pound king of sim rigs? Let's find out, shall we? Okay, so here's the rig. I'm pretty happy with how this turned out. Lots of DIY kind of stuff on there, which helps with the costs, helps keeps costs down, obviously. Let's start with the actual rig itself. So, as we can see, it's barely visible, but with all the kind of extras I put on it. But this is actually a 120 by 40 rig. Okay, so slightly wider profile than you get normally. I do have a video of me building it, and it was actually pretty cheap. Okay, so we're looking at probably about £200, I suppose. In terms of the aluminium profile, there's also the triple rig, okay, which holds the monitors for the triple rig. Okay, this was actually bought, I think it was probably about 150-ish pounds. Okay, the great thing about aluminium profile as well is that you can adapt it how you want. So I've made a little keyboard tray there, and you can put the pedal straight in, and then I've got this kind of fake carbon fibre that I've screwed in just to kind of box it out a little bit. So on both sides there, and that was all pretty cheap. I think we're looking at about 50 quid for the whole lot for the fake carbon, and I've got some on the dash as well. So again, I've literally just bolted it straight into the dash, straight into the profile, and made myself a little dash. Okay, so coming to the hardware, this is actually a Fanatec eSport Space, but it's just got a fancy sticker on it basically. So again, wheel is pretty cheap. I'll put up a thing of how much that costs, and the sticker was pretty cheap as well. Okay, I think we're looking at about £20 maybe, so along those lines, and that is attached to a CSO DD. And again, aluminium profile, very handy. Okay, I basically just drilled a hole in here as well, in there, to allow the shaft to come through. So again, pretty DIY, but looks pretty good. Okay, CSO DD is currently on offer as well, so you can get that pretty cheap in a minute, but fantastic wheelbase. You know, you can't go wrong with it. You don't really need that much more power unless you're kind of a real pro. In terms of the pedals, we've got some VRS Direct Force Pros. Again, brilliant budget option. They really are. You know, like, I'll put up the current price that you can find them at now, and you know, so much adjustability. You can pretty much make them exactly how you want. I don't like the clutch. I mean, unless you desperately need one for some reason, I wouldn't go with it. Really weird kind of bite point feeling, but the throttle and brake are just absolutely amazing. So next up, we've got the roof. Now this is actually just black foam. Okay, now maybe it doesn't look the best, but from the driving position, you kind of only really see the top bit, and you know, and it just adds that little bit of immersion, really, because without it, you kind of see the back. So yeah, it just adds a bit of immersion. Some cars it works better than others, but yeah, I'm pretty happy with how that's turned out. I've also got some down there just to kind of hide all the cables and all that sort of stuff, and again, just adds a bit of immersion when the lights are off. And I've got some on this side, and that's kind of bolted to the back of the aluminium, and also kind of supports the keyboard tray. And again, that was dirt cheap from Amazon. Looking about £40 I think for all of this, and I just taped some bits together to make the roof ready. And if I don't want it, I can just kind of pull it out, or I can take it off completely. So you may have noticed with the roof, we've got this cutout. Now there is a few reasons for that. Number one means when you get out of the rig, you can actually kind of, your head comes kind of through here, which is great. But there is another reason. So when your hands rest here, with the cutout, you can still see the light. Now the light is something a little bit special, okay? So the light is actually a Philips Hue light, okay? And that connects up with some like sync software, and that will actually sync with what's going on the screen. So as you're driving along and your hands are here, that light will come on and off as you're going into dark and light areas and shadows and all that sort of stuff. So something a little bit fancier. Now that is a little bit more expensive, and you do need a Philips Hue hub. So I think we're looking at kind of, think that light was about £250. So there's definitely a bit of an extravagance there, and maybe something that you don't need, or you can maybe put a little light in at the top here or something instead. But I needed a light for this the Simry Miniway, so that is what I went with. Okay, so moving on to the triple monitors. These are 27-inch monitors, okay? I know people have this thing about going for massive ones, but actually this is kind of all you really need. Like, it's pretty immersive when you're kind of in there, you know? Like, it feels pretty good. The angle's pretty good on them. Fairly minimal bezels, however on it. And I've had to kind of like put them like that to get to the really like minimize it the best I can. I haven't tried a bezel-free kit, but they're kind of hit a bit here and miss, I think, aren't they? So these are 1080p monitors, and you know, it seems to work fine. You know, I don't kind of miss any extra resolution, I don't think. And these are 144 hertz, 1 millisecond response time, which I think is probably the minimum you need, really. Okay, we've got a button box off eBay, I believe, and a Stream Deck. Okay, and this is actually 3D printed. Okay, kind of, don't know if you can see that, but I kind of just attached that to the barn box. And again, Aluminium Profile is very handy because you can just kind of, I made a, again, 3D printed little bracket there, just attaches to the frame. Also 3D printed myself a cup holder. Currently got the chewing gum in, but yeah, just again, just bolted straight to the profile, which is, yeah, pretty handy. We've actually got the base shaker kit. Now, I don't know how well this is going to come across, but we've got the seat, okay, and I literally just drilled holes in the bottom of it. Okay, so I literally just drilled holes in the metal base of the seat, and so on the back side there are the speakers, and so yeah, they literally just go straight into the seat, and it's really cool actually. Kind of like, again, just went budget with them and got kind of like a budget amp and stuff, but yeah, that all works really well. I'll put the prices up for all that sort of stuff, but honestly, I think it works brilliantly. Okay, so speaking of the seat, this is just a Cobra Forza Sport seat. It was literally just a second-hand one off eBay, which was about £60 second-hand. So that's brilliant. I did have to get the brackets separately and mount them up. I can't remember how much they were, but you know, looking at about £30 maybe. And yeah, it's been perfectly fine, quite comfortable. Probably gonna upgrade it at some point because I would like maybe something a little bit more comfortable. And obviously, if I can get something on rails, then that's be pretty handy when people come around to drive, and I don't have to unbolt everything to adjust how far the pedals are away. Okay, so in terms of the computer, obviously this is kind of up to your own discretion really, but I'll put the specs up now. But yeah, I went quite high spec with it. I think it'll last quite a long while. It's probably worth doing. And this actually sits kind of just behind, if you can get a kind of an idea, it literally just sits behind, and again, this is on Aluminium Profile. Okay, this is a computer. It's got big fans at the front, but it's also got some underneath, and so you can kind of make a bit of a gap underneath. So well, that's pretty cool. Again, Aluminium Profile proving its worth. This is obviously, if you run 3 screens, you are going to need a pretty decent computer, but this is one of those things where you have to accept these sort of costs. So whether that's included as part of the pound for pound debate, well, that's up for you to decide. So I hope you've enjoyed this little tour around my rig. Let me know what you think. Is this a pound for pound king of a rig, or is it a bit too expensive really to be classed as a kind of a good budget option? Let me know what you think in the comments below.